Coming up on Around San Diego, federal land here in San Diego County could be sold to developers, what they want it for. And California Senator Alex Padilla speaking out since being taken down by federal agents. His warning to Americans. Plus, the new push to better protect the first responders who keep our communities safe. Around San Diego. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day, and I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news, and we'll look ahead in less than 30 minutes. We do begin with a proposal in the Senate. It suggests federal land here in San Diego County could be sold to developers for housing. Republican senators just added that part to their version of the federal budget. CBS 8's Steve Price breaks down the proposal and has reaction from one local area that could be affected.
The plan is to sell at least 2 million acres of federal land, maybe as much as 3.3 million, a bunch of it here in San Diego County. Senate Republicans say this is necessary to build more housing, but this proposal is getting a lot of pushback. Welcome to Descanso, an unincorporated community about 40 miles east of downtown San Diego that sits in the Cleveland National Forest.
This is God's country.
Duncan McFettridge has lived here for decades, and while he's sculpted some pretty amazing pieces over the years, he can't see any way to carve out a positive angle to a huge section of the Cleveland National Forest being sold to developers.
It's a foolishness at the highest level.
Republican senators just added the land sale to President Trump's big, beautiful bill. All of the proposed sites are centered in 11 western states. Here are some of the areas being considered in Southern California. They include parts of the Pacific Crest Trail. They say it's designed to make housing more affordable.
It has nothing to do with housing. The housing crisis is centered in the city. We need to do better city building. Where the population is.
And he's not alone. Conservation leaders in other affected states agree. Justin Hayes is from Idaho.
This particular version of the sell-off public lands version is to raise money for tax cuts for the wealthy.
They say this isn't a partisan issue, threatening lands used by both Democrats and Republicans for hiking, hunting, and fishing. In fact, Duncan points out it was a Republican who significantly expanded the National Park Service in the first place.
The actual creation of the forest was by a president, Theodore Roosevelt. He saw how land was being destroyed.
The bill protects national parks, national monuments, and designated wilderness areas. But those other areas?
Once you lose it, forever. And its negative effects increase.
If it stays in the budget bill, the land sale is expected to raise around $10 billion. In Descanso, Steve Price, CBS 8.
We'll keep you posted, Steve. Thank you. Now to a recap of the No Kings protests. We saw a huge turnout here for the, again, No Kings protests, with organizers saying about 80,000 people took part in downtown San Diego alone. This week, we spoke with a UCSD professor about whether these protests can actually trigger change. Thad Kauser pointed to the civil rights movement, the Tea Party movement, and the George Floyd protests just 5 years ago. He says those have all shaped American policy, but adds the change will not happen overnight.
Government doesn't turn on a dime. When Rosa Parks refused to sit in the back of the bus, that didn't immediately lead to a change in Jim Crow laws in the South. But it set forth a series of legal changes, of policy responses that have eventually made progress.
Yeah, so this professor also pointed out that we've seen in the past few days a response from President Trump, as he mentioned relaxing or changing course when it comes to immigration raids at hotels, restaurants, and in the agricultural industry. And a video showing ICE agents arresting an Afghan man inside San Diego's federal courthouse is raising concerns about the treatment of immigrants who have worked in the military. Syed Nasser worked for years in Afghanistan as a translator supporting the U.S. military. Well, he He used the CBP One app and crossed legally into the U.S. last year. Then last week, he went to his first court hearing. That's when prosecutors made a motion to dismiss his case, making him eligible for expedited removal. His attorney says agents later gave him an arrest warrant signed by an ICE officer, but not a judge.
Alleging that some sort of mistake happened, that they mistakenly issued this notice to appear, which is ludicrous. It was issued in a standard fashion, the way they're issued for everyone.
Yeah, so Nasser is now in custody there in Otay Mesa. He will likely remain in custody pending his next hearing in September. And the general manager of an El Cajon business raided by ICE in late March has been sentenced to 1-year probation. Josh Washburn pleaded guilty to knowingly hiring at least 10 undocumented workers at San Diego Powder and Protective Coatings, and even letting some live inside the company's warehouse. Washburn must also complete 50 hours of community service as part of his sentence.
If this administration is this afraid of just one senator with a question, colleagues, imagine what the voices of tens of millions of Americans peacefully protesting can do.
Yeah, California Senator Alex Padilla addressed the Senate floor for the first time on Tuesday after he was forcibly removed from a Homeland Security press conference in Los Angeles. He criticized Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, saying that the purpose of military in Los Angeles is to liberate the city from its Democratic mayor and governor.
That is not a mission focused on public safety. And that simply is not and cannot be the mission of federal law enforcement and the United States military.
Yeah, Senator Padilla's speech comes on the same day that Brad Lander, a candidate in New York's mayoral election, was arrested by ICE agents as he escorted a defendant out of immigration court in New York. Well, a private jet was flying too low on its descent path before it crashed into that Murphy Canyon military housing neighborhood last month. That's according to a preliminary report released by the NTSB this week. The crash killed all 6 people on board the jet and injured 8 people on the ground. It occurred in thick fog and low visibility. The report states the jet was flying too low for more than a mile before it clipped power lines. It didn't explain why, but an investigation is still underway. The report also noted part of the airport's lighting system, which helps guide pilots in low visibility approaches, well, that had been out of service since 2022. Well, there's a new push to better protect the first responders who keep communities safe across California. Union leaders and politicians announced a new state bill that would ban cancer-causing chemicals in firefighting protective gear. The move comes because cancer is the leading killer of firefighters, accounting for more than 70% of line-of-duty deaths in 2023. So Assembly Bill 1181 would require the state to modify safety standards to ban the so-called forever chemicals that are linked to increased cancer risk among first responders.
We need the gear that protects us from all dangers without having to worry if wearing it will be the one thing that makes us sick.
Yeah, if passed, the measure would ban forever chemicals in firefighting gear starting in 2027. And right now, a vandalism spree has some residents in Bay Park shaken. More than a dozen parked vehicles were plastered with hateful graffiti and profane messages last Thursday morning. Several of the taggings were homophobic, and while it is Pride Month, some neighbors were uncertain what may have motivated this graffiti spree.
The slurs that happened kind of indicated it wasn't a very intelligent person, obviously. But yeah, we have no idea really what the motive was. Just a lot of us think it was just like a silly kid or teenager.
Yeah, anyone with possible information on the vandalism is asked to call San Diego police. Well, 2 weeks after a federal appeals court found the city of San Diego's ban on beachside yoga classes was unconstitutional, city leaders are appealing that ruling, arguing the court got it wrong. The city argues it was not a total ban, but a temporary summer moratorium from Memorial Day through Labor Day to manage tourist crowds at shoreline parks. Officials say yoga instructors have more than 60 other city parks available. The Ninth Circuit previously ruled yoga instruction qualifies as as protected First Amendment speech. But the city maintains its restrictions are reasonable time and place regulations and not content-based censorship. And the San Diego City Council is also moving forward with changes for accessory dwelling units. The council voted 5-4 to cap the number of ADUs that can be built on single-family lots. Those under 8,000 square feet are now limited to 4 ADUs. Lots between 8,000 and 10,000 can have 5, and lots over 10,000 square feet can have up to 7 ADUs. The council also voted to prevent ADUs from being built on cul-de-sacs in areas with high wildfire risk. Well, coming up, an unlikely visitor spotted there in Pacific Beach. We'll share more on how a deer ended up there. Well, a $500 million 6-year makeover was just unveiled this week at the Hotel Dell, Coronado. The iconic hotel occupies 28 acres of oceanfront property. According to J.P. Oliver, area managing director of the Hotel Dell, this is the most expensive renovation to a hotel in U.S. history. We are told the historic Victorian building was refreshed from top to bottom. Hotel rooms were updated. There are brand new restaurants, including the highly anticipated Nobu Coronado. Beautiful. Well, the Mission Valley YMCA Krause Family Skate and Bike Park in Claremont just got an update of Olympic proportions. At least that's the hope. The massive park is unveiling a $300,000 makeover that could become a training ground for future Olympians. It now features Southern California's only public resi ramp, a ramp designed for softer landings when training. Now giving local youth a way to try new tricks as well without getting injured. The skate park welcomes all wheels, and the Y offers lessons year-round. And hey, hundreds of workers are helping to clear up brush for wildfire season. And they are really, you see, they're eager to do the job. Goats helping SDG&E and firefighters clear that dry brush in steep, hard-to-reach areas. It's a safer way to clear vegetation instead of using power tools, which can spark fires. So far this season, the animals have helped clear the utilities transmission corridor in Claremont. You may see them in action as they help clear brush in other locations across San Diego over the next 3 to 4 weeks as well. And oh dear, an odd sighting near Kate Sessions Park in PB has people in the area doing a double take. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has details and what wildlife experts are saying about it.
From bunnies to coyotes, there are all sorts of animals in and around Kate Sessions Park, but people who live in the neighborhood saying seeing a deer is pretty unique, which is why this sighting stands out.
Is he like lost? Did he escape from the zoo?
This is a view that took Smokey Burns and his family by surprise last week. A large deer standing outside their window, which backs up to Kate Sessions Park in Pacific Beach.
That's a large animal.
By phone, Burns told me the deer appeared in the same spot 4 or 5 days in a row. On Nextdoor, one woman posted a similar picture saying she spotted the deer east of Kate Sessions off Pacifica Drive while out on a morning walk.
Looking at the pictures and the videos, it does seem to be a young male. Southern mule deer is a pretty common species here in San Diego.
Mayali Rueda is the interim medical supervisor at San Diego Humane Society's Project Wildlife. She says while the sighting may seem odd, it's not considering the area it's in.
Kate Sessions Park specifically is a very natural space, and it is actually a pretty perfect location for them. So there is a lot of like shrubs, grasslands, there's water sources nearby.
Male mule deer are called bucks. They stand out because of their branching antlers, which shed each year. Rueda tells me as rural areas become urbanized, these sightings are more common. As for why this buck will return to the same home, unlike other animals, Rueda says deer don't travel far, and if they find the resources needed to survive, they tend to stick around.
Specifically, mule deer are non-migratory, so they will stay in the area.
Rueda says while deer are not normally aggressive, they are very skittish. She advises it's best not to approach them or offer them food. Instead, do what the Burns did.
What is he doing here?
Admire from afar and appreciate the biodiversity San Diego has to offer, even near the beach.
There's tons of different species, and it's really nice to just be able to look outside and be able to see all these animals coexisting with us.
Shannon Handy, CBS 8.
Pretty cool. What a cutie. All right, still ahead, more than 5,000 individual farms are here in San Diego, and we're going to take you to one of them. Sage Hill Ranch Gardens. That's next in an Earth 8 report. Welcome back. San Diego's climate makes it easy to grow just about anything. But when it comes to fruits and vegetables, knowing how to work with nature can make a big difference. So in this Earth 8 report, CBS 8's Sean Stiles shows us how one farmer is doing just that.
When you think about Southern California, probably the first thing that comes to mind are our gorgeous beaches. And the last thing, beautiful farms. Well, get this statistic. Here in San Diego County, we have the largest per capita farms in the country. How many, you ask? Over 5,000. And I'm standing on one of them right here in Escondido.
We're a no-till ecological market garden in Escondido, California.
Sage Hill Ranch Garden began with Spencer Rudolph in 2017. The idea, work with nature.
We farm about 8 acres of mixed veggies, and we also have pasture poultry.
When you say no-till, what is no-till?
So we're keeping our soil intact by never inverting it. So we never do a deep tillage. Everything is right on the surface, which keeps our soil life intact and healthier.
That's done by using nutrients from plant matter that's on the farm.
So we're using lots of cover crops and things like that. We even have a pasture bird system where they're moving through pastures where their fecal matter is fertilizing us for the winter, which is great.
250 chickens. Think of them as goats. They eat everything, clearing weeds, fertilizing, and yes, laying eggs. For Rudolph, the focus is on quality.
Well, I like to say that we're beyond what the organic certification requires. So we don't use any type of pesticides or herbicides on our farm, and we're not using tractors, so there's never any tillage. So the ground is kept intact and is as natural as possible.
To control the insects, Sage Hill taps on the locals.
So you see around the farm, we invite lots of wildlife. We have bird houses, bat houses, and it works out to our benefit.
Wait, did you say bat houses?
We have bat houses, yes. They're great nighttime pollinators. They also eat tons of insects. And so we want to invite these bats at night to kind of do the night work for us.
So they're the graveyard shift?
That's correct, yes. Correct.
You get to sleep, get those guys to work, put Mother Nature to work. Oh, you know they do tomatoes.
This is where we grow all of our heirloom tomatoes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have 2 different types. We have a French heirloom, and then we also have a Cherokee purple heirloom.
Spencer gave me some tips to share.
A great way to keep moisture in the soil would be to add mulch, plant early in the morning, and plant late in the evening.
And for the plant that keeps producing?
Summer squash, it'll give forever.
There's one more way to share in the bounty.
We partner with chefs. We seat about 60 to 70 guests, and it's a 5-course meal. You come out, we serve you, and then you have a farm tour, and it's a wonderful evening.
San Diego is lucky to have so many independent farmers, and now more than ever, it's time to support them. We've showed you the farm here at Sage Hill Ranch Garden. We've given you tips on how to grow like this, and I'm going to tell you where you can buy this produce at farmers markets. But if none of that appeals to you and you want it cooked for you, well, they do a moonlight dinner here 3rd Saturday of the month through October. I'll list the farmers markets on the web story along with a link to the dinners here. Sean Stiles, Earth 8.
Yeah, delicious, healthy, and beautiful. Always good stuff, Sean. That will do it for us. Thank you for your time, always staying informed. We appreciate it. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take such good care.